The man of knowledge must be able not only to love his enemies, but also to hate his friends. It is not when truth is dirty, but when it is shallow, that the lover of knowledge is reluctant to step into its waters. The thought of suicide is a great consolation. By means of it, one gets through many a dark night. I am not upset that you lied to me. I am upset that from now on, I can't believe you. And we should consider every day a lost on which we have not danced at least once. And we should call every truth false, which was not accompanied by at least one laugh. Is life not 1,000 times too short for us to bore ourselves? We often refuse to accept an idea merely because the tone of voice in which it has been expressed is unsympathetic to us. That which does not kill us makes us stronger. A thought comes when it will, not when I will. Sometimes people don't want to hear the truth because they don't want their illusions destroyed. One must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star. In heaven, all the interesting people are missing. A man's maturity consists in having found again the seriousness one had as a child at play. When you look into an abyss, the abyss also looks into you. The true man wants two things, danger and play. For that reason, he wants woman as the most dangerous plaything. A good writer possesses not only his own spirit, but also the spirit of his friends. There are no eternal facts, as there are no absolute truths. What does your conscience say? You shall become the person you are. A thinker sees his own actions as experiments and questions as attempts to find out something. The surest way to corrupt a youth is to instruct him to hold in higher esteem those who think alike than those who think differently. Whoever battles with monsters had better see that it does not turn him into a monster. And if you stare persistently enough into an abyss, the abyss will ultimately stare back into you. The most spiritual men, as the strongest, find their happiness where others would find their destruction, in the labyrinth, in hardness against themselves and others, in experiments. There are no facts, only interpretations. All truly great thoughts are conceived while walking. The higher we soar, the smaller we appear to those who cannot fly. There are two different types of people in the world, those who want to know and those who want to believe. The advantage of a bad memory is that one enjoys several times the same good things for the first time. Silence is worse. All truths that are kept silent become poisonous. It is hard enough to remember my opinions without also remembering my reasons for them. The future influences the present just as much as the past. It is not a lack of love, but a lack of friendship that makes unhappy marriages. Art is the proper task of life. God is dead. God remains dead, and we have killed him. The doer alone learns. He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. It is not the strength, but the duration of great sentiments that makes great men. The greatest dangers to humanity are not posed by those who commit mistakes, but by those who know no errors. Whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not become a monster. And if you gaze long enough into an abyss, the abyss will gaze back into you. That which is done out of love always takes place beyond good and evil. The demand to be loved is the greatest of all arrogant presumptions. And those who are seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who could not hear the music. The best weapon against an enemy is another enemy. The essence of all beautiful art, all great art, is gratitude. Whoever despises himself nonetheless respects himself as one who despises. There is always some madness in love, but there is also always some reason in madness. In solitude, the lonely one eats himself. In a crowd, the many eat him. The most perfidious way of harming a cause consists of defending it deliberately with faulty arguments. What is good? All that heightens the feeling of power, the will to power, power itself in man. I am a forest and a night of dark trees, but he who is not afraid of my darkness will find banks full of roses under my cypresses. Believe me, the secret of reaping the greatest fruitfulness and the greatest enjoyment from life is to live dangerously. Man is the cruelest animal. One should die proudly when it is no longer possible to live proudly. Invisible threads are the strongest ties. To live is to suffer. To survive is to find some meaning in the suffering. One repays a teacher badly if one always remains nothing but a pupil. When we are tired, we are attacked by ideas we conquered long ago. Without forgetting it is quite impossible to live at all. Glance into the world just as though time were gone. Everything crooked becomes straight, everything coarse beautiful. The glance strips off dust and scales, takes away the veil of familiarity from things, events, and human beings, and thus enriches them, makes them look strange and new. To predict the behavior of ordinary people in advance, you only have to assume that they will always try to escape a disagreeable situation with the smallest possible expenditure of intelligence. Insanity in individuals is something rare, but in groups, parties, nations, and epochs, it is the rule. When one has not had a good father, one must create one. Many are stubborn in pursuit of the path they have chosen, few in pursuit of the goal. Distrust all in whom the impulse to punish is powerful. In every real man, a child is hidden that wants to play. It is my ambition to say in 10 sentences what others say in a whole book. To forget one's purpose is the commonest form of stupidity. In truth, there was only one Christian, and he died on the cross. I cannot believe in a God who wants to be praised all the time. The individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. Without music, life would be a mistake. I am not a man, I am dynamite. In everything, one thing is impossible: rationality. The snake which cannot cast its skin has to die, as well the minds which are prevented from changing their opinions. They cease to be mind. He who fights with monsters should be careful, lest he thereby become a monster. And if you gaze long enough into an abyss, the abyss will gaze back into you. You have your way. I have my way. As for the right way, the correct way, and the only way, it does not exist. And if you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss will gaze back into you. In individuals, insanity is rare. But in groups, parties, nations, and epochs, it is the rule. A woman may very well form a friendship with a man, but for this to endure, it must be assisted by a little physical antipathy. You must have chaos within you to give birth to a dancing star.